Hello, so this is a video about breath, and a lot of my work is about teaching people to really get into their bodies. Often what I hear from people is that they're too in their head around sex and they're thinking, and it's blocking their pleasure and their kind of orgasmic potential. And the way I teach people to get back into their bodies is all through the breath. It's really important, conscious breathing. And I don't teach very intricate techniques, actually. It is just quite a simple kind of breath, which allows us to drop into relaxation, but it can also kind of intensify sensations and experiences that we're having in our body. And it's called straw breath. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about this. First of all, it's called straw breath because you're breathing through your mouth as if through a straw. And then when you breathe out, you're relaxing your jaw and just allowing the breath to tumble out, no forcing. So breathing in, allowing out, breathing in, letting it tumble out. Another thing we do is we restrict our breath and we take quite short breaths, and our breath just lands in our chest. So maybe take a hand to your belly and allow your belly to expand on the in-breath, okay? In Western culture, definitely we're kind of taught when we breathe in to kind of suck everything in, and we're learning the opposite here. So allowing that belly to expand on the in-breath. And release. And the belly comes back on the release, and again. Allowing that breath to lengthen ever so slightly more. And keep breathing like this as I continue talking. Check in where in your body you're holding tension. I realise when I'm trying too hard with breath work, I get tension in my shoulders and in my jaw. So keep breathing, making sure that your jaw is nice and relaxed. The jaw is kind of a mirror of your pelvis. Okay, so if there's tension in the jaw, there's probably some holding and some tension in the pelvis at the same time. So really allowing that jaw to drop, okay? Keep going. You may have noticed I've started sounding, making sound on my out breath. So nice soft sound to begin with can help really just expand the space in our body and to drop deeper into our body. It really drops me into my guts and into my pelvis as opposed to head or chest breathing. Keep going like this as I speak over you. Sound is often the toughest part for people when I'm coaching them, because we're often taught from childhood not to make too much sound and not to make too much fuss, and especially around pleasure. You know, God help anyone would hear us being in pleasure when we're experimental children or teenagers or still living with our parents or with other people. So sound around pleasure is really important. Keep breathing. Allowing that sound to deepen and to get louder. This is the trickiest bit, guys, but I promise you it's worth mastering. Keep going with that. So sound is another way of release, basically. And often when we're in high arousal, we chase for a release around orgasm or around ejaculation or a genital focused release. Whereas actually, if we use the breath and the sound for release, that means that the energetic orgasmic experience still can stay in our body and be spread through our body using the sound and using the breath. So it really is worth keeping track of and keep practicing. Keep going with this. Sound is the trickiest thing, and people, because they get blocked, people stop practicing it, but keep practicing it. And maybe over-exaggerate. You kind of got to, bust through that wall a little bit till it becomes more natural. Let's do 2 or 3 exaggerated sounds with breath, please. See, I opened my mouth and I fully expressed that. And it might be weird and you might be worried about the neighbours. Keep going. So keep going that as I continue talking. We can also intensify our experience using that quality of breath. We might want to try some sharper and some kind of stronger breath to see how that changes the experience. Now we might want to lighten the breath to see if that brings any different sensations. And slowly allowing yourself to spiral out of this breath. Don't stop straight away. Allowing it to get softer and more natural. And you might want to take one hand to your heart and one hand to your sex, just to feel in any residue of that experience. And just checking into how different you feel from when you maybe first started watching this video. And just a few moments of silence so that we can integrate this experience into the body and really feel. And this softness that you feel now, don't rush to shake yourself out of it. You may want to keep your eyes closed while I carry on talking. You may want to just cuddle up a bit and get a blanket. It's because there's no rush. It's really important that we don't do these practices just to tick the box and then rush off into our usual daily life. Because when we tune into the body, what we're doing here is we're kind of really tapping into that inner wisdom instead of our head wisdom. So you're not necessarily going to be in a thinking place. You're going to be in a feeling place. And we want to stay there for as long as possible, because that's a really important thing to kind of nourish that we've lost in modern day when we had to think too much in our head. So this is a really good practice to do on a regular basis. I tell people to set their timers on their phone every day so that they can have a 10-minute, 5-minute breath break with sound. And then what I would usually recommend is then we can add movement so that it becomes breath, sound and movement. This is the key for energy flow through the body. And from this we can really expand our orgasmic potential and find some really interesting kind of erotic trance states or full body orgasmic experiences. And I will cover that in another video. But for now, please just stay soft with yourself. Keep breathing. And notice any tension that starts to creep into our body as we start to navigate our way through our day.